care about? What causes you to want to go to Pierre, South Dakota? Education's on everyone's list. Everyone's list. It's interesting, though, when you get to Pierre, South Dakota, you can divide those folks in the Capitol building into two groups. One group thinks of spending on education as an expense, and one group thinks of it as an investment in our children and in the future. I'm on the investment side of that equation, and I know you are too. But let me tell you the thing that's so encouraging to me that happened in the last couple of years, that in my experience had not happened, and I attribute it to the advocacy of your leadership and others, is you picked up a partner in the advocacy of an increase in commitment to education. And that was the Sioux Falls Chamber of Commerce. Now, that's a relationship that one would not ordinarily put together. But what the Chamber understands that you've known for years is the best economic development tool is a well-educated workforce. It's a diverse, interesting, well-educated workforce. That's what we have to strive for. And so the Chamber got on board along with the education community and came to Pierre and actually advocated and pointed out how as a profession we have fallen behind in terms of the way we value educators compared to other professions in South Dakota, which is the real relevant comparison. And the Chamber of Commerce came out and proposed increases in funding for K-12 education in the last 2 years. The last year, I thought was a very fair and very balanced, forward-looking approach. And here's what they said. We ended up calling it the Hope for a Brighter Day proposal. We were willing to say that if the revenue stream in the state is zero or gone backwards, we shouldn't see an increase in K-12 education. But when the day comes that that revenue stream returns, we should tie aid to education to the increase in the revenue stream. Had that been the case, this number would not have declined in South Dakota. This number would have stayed where it was had that been in place currently under current law. And wouldn't that have been a great thing? We could look to the investment we make in children and schools and point to a brighter day ahead. You know what happened, though. This administration decided that this administration decided that we would have the downward side of that equation, that is a zero increase, without the upside, which is the promise of a brighter day. So what we ended up doing was even dismantling what was in place at the time, which is 3% or the rate of inflation, whichever is less. And it was replaced by a goose egg. And that's what happened to K-12 education. They didn't repeal 3% or the rate of inflation. They just essentially ignored it in putting together the budget this year. So that's the challenge we face. We've worked really hard in the legislature. We've had bipartisan support, Republicans and Democrats coming together to try to improve our investment in children and schools, but it just hasn't been enough. And that's a big part of why I'm running for governor. When I talk about my reason for getting in the race and what I intend to do for South Dakota, I put it very simply. We need to shrink the size of government. We need to eliminate the deficit, balance the budget, so that we can reinvest in kids and schools and roads and bridges. All in one sentence, that's exactly what we're going to do when we go to Pierre. Now Sandy knows, and Sandra knows, and Deb knows, because we've all talked about this, the next 12 to 24 months are going to be very challenging. This administration has left us with a $107 million hole to fill, in spite of the fact that they've taken $300 million in stimulus money. We still can't balance the budget. They still can't balance the budget, and so we're $107 million upside down. We're going to have to deal with that. We're going to have to deal with that as South Dakotans deal with those things. I'll just conclude by remembering years and years ago I had the chance to write a history of Han County, my home county. And I really loved it because there were lots of people around at that time who remembered the Depression. And I put a microphone in front of them and they'd start to talk. And the one thing that was clear to me is that South Dakotans never shirked from a challenge. That was a challenging time in South Dakota, but the way we dealt with it is we all pulled together, we linked arms, and we got through it. And they're all very proud of that experience, and I'm very proud of them too for that. We're going to do that too in the next 12 to 24 months. We're going to have to pull together. There are going to be sacrifices called upon for all of us. But once we deal with that gaping deficit, a brighter day will be ahead for our kids and our schools. I promise you that. So thank you very much, Sandy, for your commitment and your belief in our campaign. And I'm just really grateful to all of you for being here. I don't know if you were going to say something, or
Sure.
we'd love to have it.
I just want you to know, as the president of the Sioux Falls Education Association, teachers across our state are extremely excited about Scott's campaign. They understand and they know his experience and his commitment, the way in the legislature he has gone ahead and led the way to improve things in schools for our kids has not gone unnoticed. Well, for our association, one of the most important reasons that we are recommending Scott is that he has come forward with a detailed and a very credible plan to resolve our state's budget crisis. And there's not much we can do until that's done. If we continue on the same path for our children of declining funding, our schools and our education funding is going to continue to be stretched too thin, and eventually the consequences, the negative consequences, are really going to be dramatic. Scott understands that investing in education is one of the best investments this state can make because it does lead to economic development. We all know that when other businesses from outside states want to come in, they are very reluctant to come into a state that doesn't list and show education funding as a priority. Scott also understands that investing in kids now will save our state a tremendous amount of money down the line. Because we all know that statistics show that educated, well-educated kids do not enter our correction and our court systems, and they do stay off our welfare rolls. Our next governor must be able to bring people together to actually listen and to make those tough decisions. Scott Heidepriem has those traits. It's time. We need to elect Scott for the sake of our schools, our kids, and our state's economic future.
Thank you.